Did the Union win the war before it even began? The Union won the Civil War before it began due to they had superior population as well as human resources, greater manufacturing and ability to supply their army, and they had a better political leader, Abraham Lincoln.
So, Mr. Shoemaker, do you believe that the Union won the Civil War before it even began?
In terms of population, it was evident the North was bound to win the Civil War before it began. And the North had about 22 million, and the South had approximately 9 million. But the 9 million in itself is misleading. 4 million of those people were slaves, so essentially it was 22 million versus 5 million or so.
So how does this affect the war based on it being a war of attrition?
Well, wars of attrition, you essentially are wearing down your enemy. You're fighting till the enemy can't go any further. And for the South, they had to fight till 22 million people wouldn't take another step towards them, wouldn't attack them again. But the North only had to get 5 million people not to attack them again. So
Very interesting.
When it comes to resources before the Civil War, the North was way better off than the South. In 1860, the South had only 1/9 the manufacturing that the North had, and that was even generous. In the North, 97% of all weapons were manufactured, 96% of all railroad locomotives, 94% of cloth, 90% boots, and shoes. So obviously, the North was better prepared for a war to begin. They definitely had more supplies. And the South actually relied on a lot of the North's manufactured goods for their own use. Also, the transportation system in the North was way better. It was standardized with railroads all over the place, so everywhere could be supplied. The South had none of this. It was really spotty. And because of this, the North could transport goods to wherever they needed to be very quickly, and the South had trouble doing this. The North also controlled the Navy, which was important because they controlled all the imports the South got. And one of these main imports that they always had to get was gunpowder, since there was none in the U.S. itself. So, being able to control this commodity, the North had a clear advantage.
Do you think Abraham Lincoln was a good political leader?
Well, yeah, I think that Abraham Lincoln was a good political leader due to the fact that he was a fantastic speaker. He also, throughout his candidacy, maintained the fact that he would keep the country together with whatever he needed to do, whether that would be freeing one slave or freeing all the slaves in the entire country. When he signed the Emancipation Proclamation freeing all the slaves, it was meant to get the entire country together and face against the one conflict, which was slavery.
If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. Abraham Lincoln.
Was all the violence necessary? Did the South stand a chance? No. The North had won the battle before it began.